Yeah, remembering one thing that came up for me as I was considering insight that I've seen as a risk in my life is there's a very subtle risk of taking an insight and, in a sense, giving it too much form.
Yeah.
Like I found that because insight has a way of, in my experience, it's quite dynamic, right? In a sense, meaning that it's in relation to us, to this mind, to this being that I am in this world, to the world, others in the world, right? So it sort of seems to be in relation to the movement of life, put it that way. Like it's not necessarily static. It's not necessarily insights from like, this like mysterious sources just giving us like spiritual insight into the ethers, right? At least when I'm referring to insight, it's much more kind of grounded in life. And in that sense, it's dynamic, right? But there's a way in which my mind tends to sometimes take insight and I give it shape and I give it words. And all of a sudden, it goes from being alive and dynamic, and I can perceive the essence in it and the depth of meaning that it holds, which is almost beyond the thought process. But now I've actually given it form. And I might have even said it to myself one too many times, recalled it, or I might have shared it with someone else one too many times. So now it becomes like a thought form as opposed to an insight. And there's a way in which I've seen that an insight can almost, unfortunately, lose its depth of meaning, and it can become like trite, almost like a saying. And it was such a profound experience of insight I had in the moment that, of course, I felt struck by it, but I'm holding on to it. When in reality, that insight was meant to help me see something in the moment, perhaps take action with that insight in the moment,
right?
And then align myself to the present. Come back here so insight can reach me again. Because all of a sudden now I'm in relation to my thought about, again, what that insight was back then in the past.
Right.
And perhaps there's a new insight related to that thing that I need to see now, but I can't see it because I'm grabbing onto this insight.
Got it.
This was so deep. This was so profound.
Yeah.
Therefore, I must grab onto this and carry it forward.
Right.
And then the insight loses its light, loses its aliveness.